Welcome back to the Scottish Marketing Summit podcast. Today I'm joined by Matt Harmsworth, who's one of our 2026 keynote speakers. Matt, for anyone who doesn't know who you are and what you do, give us a background into your area of expertise.
I do a bit of absolutely everything, and anyone who ever goes off searching on me finds all sorts of nonsense. So what I mostly do, and certainly what I'm going to be doing for your audience, is I help busy business owners basically get to grips with AI. So I do a lot of high-level AI consultancy, go into big businesses and sort out all their problems and clear the muddy waters for them. And then we've also got a voice agent business as well. So we build and install AI voice agents into people's businesses, which is kind of cool and cutting edge.
Absolutely. It's something I haven't really come across until you. You were the first person. I knew the concept, but you were the first person who was doing this and leading the way with it. Can you talk a little bit on that, on the kind of voice agent side of things? And I know Loqui is going to be exhibiting at the summit this year, so everyone's going to get an opportunity to come in and stand and see you at your stand. But give us a little bit of background on what that means and why business owners, marketers should care about that.
Oh, there's a lot there. So, okay, I'll start at the top. So basically, I've got a number of businesses. One of my businesses is a survey and inspection business, or what I call the boring business, and that has been my guinea pig. So when anyone talks about AI or has started talking about AI in the last sort of 6 to 12 months, you're automatically assumed to be a fly-by-night charlatan that's just basically jumping on the bandwagon and is trying to make a bit of money, a bit like meta ad gurus, 5 years ago. It was slightly different for me in that I've cut my teeth and I've proven everything I talk about within that boring business, within the survey and inspection business. So a lot of the things that I've developed and brought to the market ultimately through AI have been battle tested in that business. And one of the problems that we had is a problem that probably a lot of your listeners will have, is that if you are paying for advertising, well, you better make sure there's somebody there to answer the phone or answer the message or answer the email. And as a very fast-growing business, that business was growing at 25 to 35% a year, which brings with it a lot of challenges. You can't keep hiring ahead of turnover all the time. So we had to look at what can we do here to fix this problem at scale. And ultimately what we decided to do was we decided to bring in AI voice agents, which a lot of people are going to think, well, that sounds like a terrible idea, because as soon as you think AI voice, people start thinking of chat bots, foreign call centres, all that kind of stuff, where they're very, very good now. If you're aware it's AI and you speak to it, you're going to know it's AI, but it's getting better every day, essentially. So we brought AI voice agents into the business. Originally, we brought them in out of hours. That's where we thought the problem was. We thought we'd be missing opportunities, and that missed opportunity cost is very, very hard to pin down and put a number on it. And depending on what your average transaction value is, you can kind of start to get a bit of a feel for what this might be costing you or your business. So we thought we'll put the voice agent on out of hours, and tumbleweeds, really, it didn't answer very many calls at all. Okay. Where we found the real problem was during the day, we've got 3 people, we're recording in my office today, and we've got 3 people downstairs on the phones all day. When they're on the phones, really looking after those customers and having those deep human conversations, if somebody phones in, it was just going to voicemail or just disappearing into the ether. And people are lazy now. Humans are inherently lazy, and they just want a response straight away. So if you get put through to a business and there's nobody there to answer the phone, think plumbers, tree surgeons, hairdressers, etc., you're going to be losing a lot of business. So that's why we built those. And then people started to gravitate towards me, and they said, is there any chance you could build these for us? I said, I don't know whether I want to do that, really. I've got my hands are quite full. I said yes, and started to build up a dev team and build up a whole system around doing it now. And we've got them installed in all sorts of businesses, from will writers to hairdressers to tattoo artists to plumbers and tree surgeons and water filter businesses and all sorts of weird things. So, yeah.
Brilliant.
Long answer.
Yeah, but I think that's great. I think part of the thing around something like a voice agent is people have the preconceived idea of what it is. They think it's, is it Terminator? Is that the direction we're going in here? But actually, it's that awareness to show people, well, actually, it doesn't need to be how you think it's going to be. We can work with you. We can develop the human side of it and feed that in. So I think it's really valuable for people to understand exactly what kind of business that it can go into and help, as opposed to just being this kind of, you know, it's only for big companies, or it's only for, you know, it's not for me, I'm too small and I don't need that and I don't miss any calls. Well, actually, everyone misses a call at some point, and if there's something there to scoop that up and handle it on the other side, then ideal.
There is and I am going to highlight it. It's the sort of the dirty word, but there is a generational thing at the moment as well, where a lot of people, particularly under the age of 30, actually don't like speaking on the phone. I'm not a huge fan of speaking on the phone, but I do it because I know it moves the needle and it moves the business forwards. People want to hide behind email and direct messaging and stuff like that, and in some businesses you can get away with that, maybe in the online coaching world and things like that, but service-based businesses you definitely can't be. And there'll be people out there right now that are thinking, well, that's fine, but nobody phones me, nobody phones my business. Well, just you wait, because all the big boys are betting their money on voice.
Yep.
Alexa, shouldn't say that out loud, should I, in case there's one in here, but Alexa is moving very heavily towards natural voice now. You might have noticed they've changed the voice on that, and it's still not great. Yeah. But what they're doing is they're testing us. They're getting us used to asking Alexa, Siri, whatever, for products and services, and then agentic AI agents will go out there into the world and search for products and services, and you'll just have a conversation with it on your phone. And then when that AI agent recommends your business and the phone rings, you need to make sure that there's somebody there to answer the phone, essentially. Otherwise it will just recommend the next business and off you go.
Absolutely. It's, you know, like the days of SEO, and I know that you have thoughts on this, and we can maybe come back to that in a wee second. It's one of these, it's a trend, it's something that's happening at the moment, but I think the issue is some people are viewing the need for AI, the need for agents as a trend that will die off on the other side. But actually we can see the longevity of it. We can see longevity as a value for us as owners, but also when we see these bigger companies starting to test things out, like you're saying with Siri and Alexa, this is here to stay, and it's here for a very, very long time. And although things like SEO is still important, it's still needed, but there's definitely a huge dip off the other side of that. With the rise of everything that you're doing and what we're seeing coming in the AI landscape, what other kind of stereotypical or maybe kind of previously needed marketing things and techniques do you think we're going to see less of in the future?
I think probably from a marketing perspective, what people need to be aware of is the fact that the human psychology piece is never going to change. You know, we've all heard of, you know, Dan Kennedy and Zig Ziglar, and we're all familiar with their writing style and agitating pain and moving people to action. None of that is going to change, but it's going to come later in the process. So what is not going to work anymore is sending people through a funnel to a landing page with heavily psychologically loaded copy, which moves people from A to B. We've spent decades humanizing and psychologically loading our websites to move people to generate emotion, to attract our dream customers and move them from A to B. Well, we now have to think about optimizing our websites for AI agents that are going to be reading those websites on our potential customers' behalf. So people are still going to find us through advertising and through SEO as well. But what AI agents that are browsing the internet are looking for is authority in a particular space. They work on authority and they work on entities. So, you know, people like yourself who are known in the marketing community, particularly in Scotland, you've got, you know, podcasts, you've got Instagram, you've got all the events that you're doing, all that sort of stuff. That is automatically going to start to position you as an authority in your space. So you're more likely to get recommended than, I don't know, a little marketing agency perhaps in a village in the north of Scotland that isn't doing any of that stuff. So I think the same things will work. They're just going to come at a different time line, basically, a different point in the process. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about it from the perspective of maybe somebody that runs like a service business and maybe they are mostly online, how would building that authority look for them? You've just given the example of me, and a lot of the things that we're doing is events. We're out, we're locational, we're getting around the country, and that's a little bit more physical. But if somebody was like a service-based business, they don't necessarily travel, they don't do anything in person, what does building that authority to be discovered look like for them?
The main thing, there's a lot of techie language involved in it, unfortunately, and there's no way around that. But they need to make sure that anything to do with their business is on somewhere called Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, Wikidata, which is the AI version of Wikipedia. Essentially, they are related, but not the same thing. Large language models go there and look for information, so there's going to be very few plumbers and hairdressers with Wikidata entry, so there is going to be a first mover advantage in that space by getting your entries in there. Essentially, they want to make sure that their websites answer all their customers' pain points, every potential pain point, so that if you imagine an AI agent having a conversation with a human that's looking for a plumber or a hairdresser, and they're saying, what about this, and how many reviews have they got, and do they work out of hours, and what's their average price, and all this sort of stuff. It needs to be able to access that information. So start thinking about reviews. Everybody talks about reviews, but the more reviews you've got out there, particularly on places like Google Maps, the better. And 10 reviews, which I think is the average, somewhere between 5 and 10, that's not going to cut it. You need hundreds. So you need to start thinking about a process that you should build into your business where you regularly ask your customers for reviews. All the things that the business consultancy community has been saying for years and years and years is going to become much more important, I think, much more important. So that's sort of an indicator, getting involved with mainstream media as well. So old school PR is going to become much more important again. Getting articles in the newspapers, getting articles online about you and your business will help position you as an authority. Personal brand, dare I say it. I know there's a lot of people talking about it at the moment, but personal brand is going to become very, very important. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think the personal brand one's a really interesting one to touch on, because a lot of people are getting more drawn towards personal brand because they're anti-AI, and we see that there's a rise of the anti-AI side of the world, but also personal brand working with AI for exactly like you've explained there. And I think personal brand has been like the phrase and the words of 2026 so far that everyone's really pushing forward. With all the work that you're doing, because your personal brand in the last 12 months has went through the roof, like you're everywhere, you're on stages, you're doing loads of podcasts. How have you found building your personal brand with the support of AI, with leading the way with AI? How have you worked to position yourself, and how have the two fed into each other well?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's probably not straightforward to answer. I guess I'm replicating what I've done in my other business up to a point. So we're launching a podcast. I am getting onto stages, and it's the dirty secret whether you've got to pay to get on there or you're invited on there. It's just what you need to do. And the reason that I've had to do that particularly is because I'm talking about things that people don't understand. They don't understand what the problems are. They're not problem aware. So they might be aware of the fact that their paid advertising isn't as effective as it used to be. They might be aware of the fact that they're missing phone calls within their business, but they don't necessarily know why, and they don't know where the holes are. And what I can't do at the moment is build a marketing funnel for AI voice agents, because nobody's searching for AI voice agents. Whereas if I get on a stage and I explain it to people, then we'll see a rush of inquiries afterwards. So I have had to build a personal brand to basically get people to move towards me, and also to just to get the content out there and to attract our sort of dream clients, essentially. So it's challenging, and it takes a lot of time, but it is starting to pay off, definitely.
Yeah, it's worth it on the other side. And I think, again, over the last maybe, for me anyway, I'd say the last 5 to 6 years, we've seen the real rise of people wanting to be really active in person, and then it kind of died off a little bit. And, the pandemic had a lot to answer for that. We weren't able to do things in person. We weren't able to have stages that people could stand on. But then off the back of that, I don't know if you noticed this, I noticed a real lull in events and bringing people together, and now we're starting to get the other side of that, and actually there's a lot of events coming up. There's more than ever around. You know, you can almost get an event every night of the week at somewhere local to you, whether it's networking or whether it's a panel or whatever it is. You can get something at all times, and again, that's giving people the opportunity to stand and flex their personal brand, try things, test things, because for me, and this is through my experience and maybe you're similar, for me, the personal brand has never been, okay, who am I, what do I want to do, and how am I going to speak? It's been about getting in front of people and finding where conversations go, finding what my style is in certain rooms, and finding what kind of things need to be said for people to understand in one room versus another room. And I think that's something, when you're speaking about something that is so techy, like you're saying, that actually being able to meet people where they're at is one of the most important things, and doing that in person is going to be the quickest way to do that right now. Second, other things that would be second would be like a podcast. It's as close to being with you in person as well. So I think the being in person element and the event side of things is such a strong positioning.
Well, and also, you know, there are numerous pillars that I talk about over and over again, and one of them is essentially the rise of crap content. That's why so many people are anti-AI. Is because, you know, we came out of the back of COVID, we came into ChatGPT. All of a sudden people were like, right, I can hide behind my computer and I can build up my business, I can generate tons of content and fire it out there, which is what they're being told to do by the likes of, you know, Hormozy and Gary Vee and all that sort of stuff. Get the content out, get the content out, get the content out. Yeah, but it has to be the right type of content. And all of a sudden, initially there was probably a bit of an advantage, maybe for 3 to 6 months, and now people can spot it a mile off. There are workarounds starting to come in now, but you just see it all the time, and people are sick of it, so they're getting drawn towards in-person events. That is the way it's going, and that's a good thing. I actually think that AI is going to free up humans to do much more high-value work and spend more time together, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the fun stuff as well. That's the fun stuff that sometimes when people are building their career, building their company, they're not able to get out and about and meet new people because they're bogged down with all the back end work, as it's called. So it's a great tool if people understand how it can be used for them as well.
And I think most don't understand. You know, one of the things I ask when I'm on stage is, you know, put your hands up if you're using ChatGPT. Now keep your hand up if you're only using it for search, and pretty much every hand stays up. You know, most are just using it for web search at the moment still, which is, you know, I wrote a tender submission this morning using a skill that we've created in Claude. Probably shouldn't put that on camera. But that tender submission, we've done it before. We've actually had the contract before. We lost it on price for a year, and we're re-tendering for it at the moment. That took me 25 minutes. With a pre-programmed skill for Claude to go and fill in all the forms, get all the information. And there's no cheating there. No. It's just compressing the time it would have taken me right down, you know. And then it's just a question of going through and looking at the areas it's highlighted for human input and making sure that you're happy with it and it's in your voice and all that sort of stuff, which I know it will be because I've done the groundwork to get it to do that, you know. And that it's only a small tender. I think it's maybe £15,000 worth of drone work, but you know, it's so powerful, so powerful.
The ROI on 25 minutes and 15 grand of drone work, I don't think anyone would turn that down.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so for people listening right now, your perspective, what are the biggest mistakes people are making with AI?
Getting obsessed over tools.
Okay.
I think they're pulling it right the way back to human psychology again. You have something called the reticular activating system. So you're dreaming about buying that red Ferrari, and all of a sudden you see red Ferraris everywhere. Now, you don't in the north of Scotland, but, you know, the point is the human brain, there are so many pieces of information around us. You know, we've got the microphones, we've got the lights, we've got the plant, we've got the water, we've got the red iPad. You can't take all that information in all the time, so your brain just concentrates on certain little things. To protect you ultimately, and as an entrepreneur and a business owner, at the moment you're getting absolutely flooded with stuff on social media. There's this app that does that, and this app that does this, and you should use this and you should use that. And they're all front ends for the same thing. They've all got the same AI sitting underneath them. There's only, you know, Gemini, Claude, what's the other one? Can't remember. ChatGPT, OpenAI. It's the same thing, powering all of them. And because it's so easy to create a piece of software now, what the first gold rush with AI was content creation. Now it's app creation. Yeah. So people are very quickly creating this is your all-in-one marketing app. They're rushing it to market. They're putting it in the App Store. And there was somebody I was listening to the other day, and I can't remember what he said about the hockey stick of apps going into the App Store at the moment, but the user base is not increasing.
Okay.
So there's loads going out there, but not very many people using them. And I think the biggest mistake at the moment is business owners getting obsessed with what should I be using? Claude, ChatGPT, it doesn't matter. Yeah. They'll all do the same thing, just set it up properly. Yeah. Yes, I've got my favourites at the moment, but I'm doing highly technical work with it. But when we build something for a business or we build a process, it's built in such a way that the AI sits underneath it, and it just doesn't matter which one it is. We can swap it and change it depending on what's best, whether that's a voice agent or a business dashboard. So
yeah, absolutely.
Don't get obsessed with tools.
Yeah, and I think we're being marketed to download all the latest things and to get into the subscriptions. What would you say to people in terms of how to find the right ones for them? Is it a case of pick one and stick with that, put all your time into that, get good at it, and just completely block out? Yeah,
pick one and learn it.
Okay.
Whether that is, listen, my personal opinion is Google will win. Google's sort of freemium model has been proven over and over and over again. The power of Gemini and what they're giving us within Google Workspace at the moment, and they're not necessarily telling you about it. It's just all of a sudden there. Okay. If you run your business on Google Workspace, you should probably very much start thinking about Gemini and what you can do with Google's Gemini. Google's Gemini is ultimately what is powering or will be powering Siri on Apple phones, and it's obviously powering the voice support on Android through Gemini as well. So they've already won that. Yeah. They've already won that. Yeah. Technology's in the palm of your hand. So I think what is critically important for the listeners to understand is building the context into whatever you choose to use, whether that is Gemini, Claude or OpenAI. Don't just be a tight ass and use the free models. Actually pay for it. Yeah. OpenAI's got close to 900 million users now, and 5% of them are paying. That's just typical. Yeah. It underlines my point about humans being lazy. Yeah. We give you the most powerful technology that the human race has ever seen, and nobody wants to even pay for it because they can't be bothered.
That blows my mind.
It does.
It's absolutely crazy.
And if you're not paying for it, by the way, you can't give it the context to help you. Yeah. And you're also sharing your data with everybody else then as well. Yeah. And it's training the model. So when you're giving it your business plan to see what it'll think, and you're a tree surgeon that's trying to get into landscaping or something, well done. You've just shared that with the entire world. So that is, people are going to pick holes in what I've just said there. But generally speaking, that is the way it works. Yeah. There are nuances to each platform, but you are sharing, you are training the model.
Yeah, of course. And I remember, towards the beginning of the kind of people adopting using these platforms, there was a lot of chat around about that, and a lot of people just completely went over the top of it and said, it's fine, I'm not giving it any detail. But then over time, they're sharing business plans, they're sharing, here's my accounts for the year, can you help me find out how I can be more profitable, and all these crazy things that people are putting in. Absolutely. If somebody is listening right now and they are using OpenAI, Claude, whatever it is they're using, and they know that they're using it to a basic level, they know they're using it to search the web, to help with communications, maybe they're using it for content, but they know that the capabilities are huge, but they don't quite know how to start. What should they be using it for? How do you get going with that? What would you say to people on that front?
I think you've just got to diarise, there's two approaches to it. So the first one is not to get carried away with the shininess of it and start jumping around and doing a million things. I saw this, I was heavily involved in the drone space when drones became a thing in the UK 10, 12, 15 years ago now. And it was exactly the same. Everybody was like, we can do it for this, we can use it for that. But a drone and AI is just another tool in the toolbox. It can be used for lots and lots and lots of different things. So the first is to work out what are the problems that you're trying to solve within your business. Now, if I have a lot of audits, we do AI audits with people, some very small businesses and it's a Zoom call, others we go into a board meeting and sit and listen. And what I always encourage everybody to do, regardless of the size of the business, is basically time track initially. So time track for a week, find out where the sucks are within your business and be honest. Find out what the repeatable tasks are. What do you have to do every week at the moment that really grinds your gears and you don't necessarily want to do it? Or maybe you do enjoy doing it, but it's not actually a particularly high value task. Yeah. You might not want to be at the stage in business yet where you want to hire a PA or a receptionist or something like that. Have a look at those tasks and then go to AI and say, this is my problem. What context would you like to enable you to help me fix this problem? And work with it. You don't have to have all the answers. It's got all the answers. Yeah. It's got everything you need to know. You just need to use it like a digital employee and have a conversation with it. So find out what the time sucks are, find out what the problems are, and then work with AI to fix them. And then the second part of that is just to make sure that you set up these platforms properly and give it the right information and set up the skills or custom GPTs or whatever it might be. Because if you don't do that, it can't help you. It's like bringing a new employee in and saying, there you go, off you go. Do your job. Yeah. If you don't train them, then you're setting them up to fail, and that's essentially the same with AI.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's something people can struggle with in terms of being able to articulate what they need help with. And you had said to me before about taking everything in 15-minute increments for a week and identifying, 15 minutes goes in the blink of an eye, but actually if those 15 minutes are happening multiple times a day across the full week, well, there's a couple of hours that's spent on something that could be handed off or something that can be done better than how you can do it, because a lot of the time it can be done better. And for me, that was incredibly valuable to be able to time track. I mean, I got a fright. Like, I looked at my diary and I went, oh my goodness, like, I've spent a lot of time doing this and I shouldn't be doing this. And actually, some of it was handed off to other people and some of it was then building in skills that could help and support. And again, that's the kind of looking at it through the lens of it's there to support. It's there to continue doing what you're doing, sometimes better, sometimes at a quicker rate, but it's not there to completely take over. No,
people want to feel busy.
Yeah.
It's almost worn like a badge of honour.
Yeah.
The fact that I had 75 emails today or whatever, or the new thing where you glance at someone's phone and they've got 1,500 unread emails.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you get to that, but there we go. That's a generational thing. I'm too old to understand.
You don't want to look at my email.
No, I thought as I was saying that, I bet you've got thousands of unread emails. But, there are tools out there. Fixer's a good one.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I built a tool that would read, categorise and reply to our emails within the company. But what happens after a while is when there's a demand, somebody will bring out a solution, and I don't think, I'm not affiliated with them in any way, but we've got Fixer running on the email inboxes of all my senior team now, and that saves them a heck of a lot of time, because people like to feel busy, even if they're not necessarily working on the right stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely the business as a badge of honour is a well-known phrase in my world and the people that, I'm around sometimes,
100%.
Best use case of AI that people should be putting into their companies right now if they don't? What are I talk about blind spots a lot, because I think when you're in your business, when you're doing you are blind to a lot of things that are very obvious on the outside. What are some of the really obvious things that people are leaving on the table?
I think one of the most powerful things you can do with it at the moment is to build a business dashboard. We're working with customers across the world at the moment, building business intelligence dashboards. For years, you've been able to get a business dashboard, but there is a popular phrase which is, and I'm going to murder it now, which is something along the lines of, what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed.
Yep.
Is that the right way around?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But it also works the other way.
Yeah.
If you mismeasure something, it's going to get mismanaged. And I think that's a real issue, because I think a lot of people pay for a shiny business dashboard and they plug in all their different things in the background and they're like, wow, but they don't actually know. They're not actually getting any insights out of it. Whereas now AI sits underneath that and it can give you insights. We've got our Google ads, our Bing ads, our spreadsheets from people downstairs in the office, all sorts of stuff. Our phone transcripts are getting analysed. All of that is going into one place. And I have a little button which is, we've got a mutual friend, Joel Stone, and if he hears me say this and listens to this, he'll probably send me a rude message. But it's actually called the CEO view. And because I have got a board, Joel, we've got CEO view. And on there, that just gives me the high level information on there, which is really, really valuable, because I can just glance at it and I can see what our conversion rates are, how much we've paid today, how much has come in today. And sometimes you might not want that amount of granular detail, but that is, it's there and it's possible. And I think that's a huge win for people, a huge win. Because if you're still operating your business, it's very hard to grow it. And as you reverse yourself out of operating the business into managing the business, you need to have the right numbers in front of you.
And what would you say if somebody's thinking, well, I'm not at that point yet. I'm not a CEO. I don't have a board. Maybe it's just me at the moment. Maybe there's like freelancers involved. What would you say to them about building a dashboard like that? I
would essentially give the AI all of your problems. I would just you can voice note. You can just voice note to it. Voice note it, all your problems. Treat it like a business consultant, a business mentor. It knows, it just needs the context, it needs the background, and let it see what it comes out with. I sometimes find an excuse to go and walk the dogs now, so that I can use Manus, which is a Meta-owned AI platform, to create something for me, or check something for me, or something that's just popped into my head that I need to get off my plate so I can be present at home and play with my daughter and not be concentrating on business stuff. And I think that's really valuable. It is a huge force multiplier for small businesses. Arguably, they're going to have the advantages because they're going to not potentially have to employ so many people. Controversial, but then is there not, and I might butcher this, is there not the statistic that says for the jobs that it will replace that we know now, it will create tenfold on the other side? I think so. I think it will free up humans to be more creative. But, paralegals, receptionists, low-level admin staff, call centres, outbound lead setters, all of that is, if not gone, will be heavily disrupted. And, I've spoken a lot in the last 20 minutes or so about AI, but it's important to underline the fact that actually one of my key philosophies is this technology should be used to free up humans to do the best work. That's what underpins everything that we do. And I have people moving towards me saying, I want to sack half my staff. Can you build me something to do that? And I'm like, no, actually, because you've come with the wrong attitude. If that was the result, or they could be moved sideways or something, then maybe we would have had a conversation. But if that's the starting point, then you're not somebody that we want to work with. And I think, that's really key. And I think we need to really nail that down, that this is a tool. People's identities are so heavily associated with their work. We're entrepreneurs, we're flitting around with a million ideas and shiny things left, right and centre. But for most people, their life is defined by their sort of 9 to 5 job, and their identity is a huge part of that. One of the first things that still gets asked in the West, what do you do? If people have that taken away from them, it's going to be really, really damaging. So I think this has to be done. We, as entrepreneurs and business owners, have a responsibility to bring AI into our businesses, but it has to be done in the right way. It's really interesting, the what do you do question. I've been to loads of networking things and met loads of people, and every now and then I like to throw in a different question, and it always gets a bit of a laugh and a smile from people because they're not expecting it. And I always go for, what did you have for dinner last night? And nobody can answer you, nobody can remember what they've had for dinner, but it's that pattern interrupt for people as well, isn't it? That it's something they weren't expecting. Absolutely. No, they're full of it. I am terrible at networking events. It's like my worst nightmare. Massive room, fine. Small intimate groups of less than 10, absolutely fine. That middle ground, I'm just like, I don't know what to say.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've never been good at that.
Okay.
Never been good at that.
Okay.
I think I was heavily damaged by, the like BNI business breakfast style things where lower level employees were just sent along because they had to send someone.
Yeah.
So, how's Fred? What's the weather like today? It's like you've just got nothing in common with them whatsoever. So maybe it was your events definitely aren't like that, but I have been to many that are. So.
Yeah, it's the cold bacon sandwich for me is always a good indicator that it's not going to go well from here. That sets the tone.
100%.
So you touched on our events, and this year at the 2026 summit, you are going to be given a keynote. Can you give us a little insight as to what people should expect from that keynote?
What's the time now? Well, there is a couple of keynotes that I do. Mm-hmm. One is called the Death of Paid Ads, which I've done a few times now, and I can bend and change. I suspect it probably will be a play on that. Mm-hmm. It'll be about visibility. How, in an AI first world, how do you keep your business visible, not to potential customers, but to the AI mind that is going to be out there searching on behalf of your customers? What are the things that you need to do? And it will be very much a practical. These are the things that you can go away and action. Because I hate people that stand and just sell you something, give you your life story, and then try and sell you something. So there will be actionable insights. But to be honest with you, Susan, it changes every 6 weeks at the moment. So who knows, something huge could happen and I could be like, they need to know about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I was speaking with somebody else that we're in talks with about partnering with, and they were like, we'd love to be able to speak to the audience about XYZ, but it might change the day before. And as somebody who is awfully organised and awfully wants to have all the checklists and the ducks in a row, I could feel my palms getting sweaty, and I thought, oh, well, can we narrow this down a little bit more?
Well, I can 100% tell you that I'll be there in the day. I'll walk onto your stage and I will definitely talk about something to do with AI. But beyond that, who knows?
And of course, we have Loqui are also going to be exhibiting as well.
Yes.
So what can people expect when they come to visit the Loqui stand?
Yeah, so we will have a number of resources on there. There'll be the usual kind of QR codes that you can scan and all that sort of stuff. And that will basically give you access to two things. One, it will give you access to a demo voice agent, so you can go away and have a conversation with it and see what they sound like, and it'll have a conversation with you, which I think is really important for people to understand that these things aren't a chat bot. And the AI audit is also really, really valuable as well, because you'll get real actionable insights off the back of it. And myself and Kian, who's producer behind the camera today, we'll both be there, and we'll be able to answer any questions that people might have about bringing AI voice and, at the flick of a switch, an AI chat bot, for want of a better, because it's the same thing. It's just the interface is different.
Nice. Nice, and I think that's really important about allowing people to experience it as well. You know, I know at the bottom of your emails, like when we've been chatting back and forth, in your footer you have a try our voice agent here and you can give it a ring, and I think that's so important for something that is experience based, that people can actually give a go. So I'm very excited to see everyone wandering about on their phones.
And you know, the thing is with voice agent, it's 100% bespoke. People think that you prompt it, and when we engage a new client, it's like, I've written my script. It's like, well, you can tear that up. It just needs to know what you are and what the guardrails are around that box, and then you just let it do its thing. It's a human. You know, it's a human at the end of the day. So
Brilliant.
Just a digital one.
Well, I'm very much looking forward to having you
Me
speak.
too.
I've heard you speak in smaller environments. You spoke at the Scottish Marketing Retreat earlier in this year, but I haven't had the pleasure of hearing you on a big stage yet, and I'm very, very excited. I should caveat that I have heard Matt speak, and he's phenomenal. I just haven't been in the room while you've done it, so I'm very excited to have you, and I know that our audience is also very excited as well.
Looking forward to it.
Amazing. And on that note, we're going to thank Matt for his time today. Matt, where can people connect with you online? Where's the best places for them to go and find you?
I'm pretty active on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram, Matt Harmsworth, or you can go to matt-harmsworth.com, and that's the main sort of catch-all website with lots of different bits of information on there.
Amazing. And of course, you can give Loqui a call and experience the voice agents in action. Thank you very much for your time, Matt, and I'm really looking forward to you at the summit this year.
Speak to you soon.